on BC. This is Spirit Cars, and today's the random day. It's like Rush had zillions of things to do, and been doing that. Hopefully everybody's well. It's just kind of a lot of people staying home right now. It's having some issues with shipping. Got lots of work to do, but stuff's not coming and going quite as good. So be careful out there. I mean, it's real. It's more than the flu. So just pay attention. We're getting good advice of what to do and what not to do, so we probably ought to follow some of it. Anyway, that being said, I'll do a high school story. You want a high school story? When I was in high school, I was on the basketball team, and we were horrible. I mean, we were bad. We really didn't care. And the coach had a saying that became his favorite saying. That was a half-assed lackadaisical effort. So if I would look at what I'm doing here so far, and as far as a construction and building a car, it's pretty much a half-assed lackadaisical effort. That being said, here's why I say that. Stay focused, do a piece, finish it, get it done. Don't leave loose ends, don't be stuff here and there. But I've been trying to be consistent on doing the 1105s and give everybody just an overview of putting this chassis together. So I've been every day throwing something on it and not making it a project I'm just getting it done. So what's going to have to happen for this project in particular, I mean, it's coming together and it's all going, it looks like a car, but I need to basically go back on it and systematically make sure everything is right and the way it goes. So I'm going to go through kind of the next phase of what I'm doing and give you some hints of probably some of the things that you should and shouldn't do as we're doing it. This one doesn't get friction shocks. If it gets friction shocks, and again, this is a Spirit chassis, this is the way we do it. It's not the only way to do it, but this is the way we do it. So if it gets friction shocks, what that is, there'll be a threaded rod, that a hole drill here and here. The threaded rod will go all the way through. There's a piece of rubber, an arm that comes out, another piece of rubber, and a big washer plate. Tighten all that down, and the tighter you get it, the more friction it makes between the two rubber pads, and that's your shock. And then there's a linkage that goes from the bolt, actually goes from this bolt on your radius rod to that arm. The arm bends out a little bit, and then there's a rod ends, or a couple rod ends that go together. That's not what we're doing on this one. We're doing like a gas shock on this one, which means we've got this bracket here. This bracket bolts on. Our frames are 3/16 thick, so you can drill and tap. So we use 1/4 button heads, drill it, tap it, put it on, drill it, tap it, put it on. And when you get these shocks, just be aware they may not fit over the collar here. There's several different collars. You may have to drill out the collar or slide a different one in, but it is what it is there. So if you remember, and you've been watching this video, when I did the shackle, I think I got the old piece right here. So this is the part that would normally come with the shackle. It didn't have this triangulated part. It would just go on like that and hold your shackle together. Again, I still do not have these bolted tight, but when I bolt them tight, the nut is going to, the bolt is going to stick out the end of that, and it'll be very close to this. It won't hit, but I like to cut that off then. It's just a cleaner look. It's a threaded, it's a lock nut, nylon lock nut. Just be careful when you cut that you don't heat it up too much, that you melt the part that locks it. So anyway, took this off. This is the part that we sell with this kit here. So it'll bolt on down there. It'll go on up here. This will be your shock. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. That's how that goes. Some people are like, do you need a Panhard on the front? Do you not need a Panhard on the front? Yes, I put a Panhard on the front. We put a Panhard on the front of ours. Once the spring is down a little farther, the front end could move a little bit like that. I mean, it's pretty far out, but technically it could move back and forth, and you don't want that to happen. So what we do, it's called a Panhard rod. It's our front Panhard rod. And the bottom below the spring, this is on our spring perch here. This is the plate that holds the spring on. We've welded a bracket. I just call it the banana bracket. So if you're around here and I say, hey, you got one of them banana bracket things, that's what I'm talking about. When you put it on, a helpful hint, and you'll figure that out if you don't do it this way, this bolt will not go in there. All of our bolts come in a kit. This is the Panhard rods. It's all the bolts are in there, grade 8 bolts, all labeled. So if I take this bolt, this be for the other side or for the back one, I can't get it in there. The axle's in the way. It just don't fit. So put this bolt in with your washer before you put that on. So now I'm in there, it's sitting in there. I'm good to go. It goes on the back side. So my Panhard goes on the back side. And if you remember, if you watched the earlier video, I've got my clevises onto the radius rods with a bolt. That side's got a bolt. Now again, if it was a friction shock, this would be a longer bolt, and it would bolt the rod end through that bolt, and it would come up here. But it's not a friction shock, so we're using these bolts. But if you look on the bottom here, can you see this under here, this bracket? So instead of using a bolt, we push this bracket in. It's got a nut on the back side of it. Your rod end comes up to it. So I don't know if it's the front end that way, but a rod end, on these rod ends, you got right and left hand threaded rods. So if I turn it one way, they're both going to go out. If I turn it the other way, they're both going to come in. So you can adjust it just by turning it like this, in or out. So you got a left hand and a right hand. So when you're putting them together, remember that. If you're twisting, it ain't going in, maybe try the other way. And then if it still don't go in, you may be trying to put a left hand thread in the right hand side, put it on the other side, twist away again. Or if you got good eyes, you might be able to look at it and see which way it goes, but that's how that is. If you remember, I couldn't get to my kingpins in the other day when we did all of our spindles and all that. So I took and I had my little hone thing. Here it is. Wasn't that big a deal. Put a little oil on it. Took my hone. It's a brake cylinder hone. Up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Make sure it don't come out the bottom too far or you'll break your stones. It didn't take that long, 5 minutes maybe each. Get it, so I get it to slide in there. I didn't, again, don't hammer your kingpins in. There's a little notch in there. Make sure the notch is facing the set screw, so when it's in, we're still waiting. This is gonna have a slingshot steering, which means my steering box is gonna be on the side over here, and it's gonna come down across the side, and it'll steer what looks like a slingshot comes off of here. But we're waiting for maybe here today actually. So if it gets here, then I'll finish putting this on. And then you'll have a steering arm that comes across onto that arm, and then we'll go to the pivot arm on the Vegas steering box. This here, and then it's kind of a nice mix, a little bit of paint, a little bit of chrome. So this will be the drag link that goes between the two steering arms. Can you see that pretty good? Come in here a little closer. We put it on the bottom. That gives you enough clearance here. So when I steer this side, that's going to push the other side, so I'll steer both sides from this side. When you put the Vega box on, again, we've got our little kit. It says, I believe says steering arm, we'll see. Steering box kit. Okay, so you got a steering box kit, it's 3 bolts. This is already set up for the Vega steering box. The Corvair, a reverse Corvair is something a lot of people will use, but you got to put that on top of the frame. We don't do it that way, we do it this way. So it's a Spirit car, so we get to do it however we want. You can kind of see the bolts are, if I was to just try to bolt it up, it's got the round here, and it just will be a gap here and here. So what we do is we have some spacers that comes with the kit. So you'll put your spacers in. You'll have 3 spacers to hold it up. So pretty much, I'll take my bolts. We've got lock washers that come with this one. Get us started. bit of paint in the steering box, so it's not going in real easy, but I think I'll get it in enough to show you where it goes, and we can tighten it down. We've made these holes just a little bit bigger than the actual size. Well, that'll stay on there. This is my half-assed lackadaisical effort here, but again, if you start a project, follow through, don't leave anything half done. Always come to a stopping point, otherwise you're going to wind up forgetting something that might be critical. Anyway, we've left a little bit of room in there, so that can be turned slightly, depending. This is set up for a Chevy small block with a 350 turbo trans. It's going to be very close to the oil. Filter will be down here. There may be a tab on the side of the motor. It's casting that comes past. Depending on what you're doing with your column and that, it's going to be very close. I suppose you could grind a little bit off if that's necessary. Probably won't be, depending. I think we'll wait. We'll put the brake and all that together with the pedal next time. I want to tighten up all my front end parts. Maybe I'll get my shocks together on here, get all my rods on, then I can show you and describe it. So we're pretty close to being done with the chassis here. Get my slingshot arm done. And again, it's kind of a weird deal. Parts aren't moving around like they used to, but I'm sure that'll clear up here in a few weeks. We can just be patient. So when I get my coilover shocks, which I don't have, we'll have the coilover shocks. I'll finish going through the back. We'll walk through the whole chassis one more time, and then there it is. Good looking red and chrome, and it's be a nice looking car. One other thing, before I put these on, I think I talked about it before, but when you do the GM, these are GM rotors, metric rotors. Now we've already pressed the bearing adapter onto your spindles. So this bearing will work in here, no problem, but it sits in a little deep. So what we're gonna have to do is change out this race. This race will knock out of here. I can beat this new race in there. And when I put the new race in, it's gonna let the, I don't know if you can see that, but it sits out a little bit farther out into it. So that moves it over just a fraction, puts it where it needs to be. It all comes with a kit, and it describes it pretty well in the instructions. Also, when I said about extra stuff, when you put your calipers on and the caliper bolts, well, this is the wrong side, but anyway, it slips into there. You may have to notch just the corner. I'm not sure which corner, but whatever. You'll see that the pin will not go in real easy. So you may have to take just a touch of the casting off, possibly, not every time. It depends on the caliper too sometimes. Even though it's the same caliper, it's made by different manufacturers, and the castings are a little bit different sometimes. Even though it's still a GM caliper, will fit the same car. Just be aware of that. So don't freak out if it don't fit exactly, because it's hot rodding and that's how it works. So, you know what? We think we're in troubled times, but there's really nothing new under the sun. Nothing that hasn't been experienced before. I know, even in my short lifetime, which is getting to be a long time, which is just a whisper, gone, here it goes. I can remember the old days of Jimmy Carter and interest rates were 20%, and oh my goodness, the world was shutting down. I can remember, oh, what happened next? Oh, we got 9/11 happen. We've got wars in between. It wasn't too long ago that the whole financial world was collapsing. We survived that just fine, and then let's see, it wasn't but a couple years ago, I guess North Korea was going to nuke the whole world. That doesn't look like that happened. Instead, it looks like we're on the verge of probably having peace in North Korea, which ain't, in Korea, that ain't happened for I don't know how many years. And then just a couple weeks ago, we're impeaching our president. So that was the big news, and today we got new big news. So a little patience. I think we're gonna get through this just fine because it's under control. And as Ecclesiastes says, it's all vanity. It's all vanity. Life is vanity. There's nothing new under the sun. Don't stress over it. And bottom line, here's the end of the matter. Fear the Lord and keep his commandments. God's under control. How much better can it be to know and be at peace that eternity is taken care of already? So no freaking out. We're not freaking out here at Spirit. Hopefully all's well with you. I know stuff is happening across the country, but let's pay attention to some of the basic rules. Do that and help out where you see there's need, because there are some needs right now and the needs are getting worse. So be blessed today. We will see you tomorrow, and I don't know what we'll do tomorrow, but we'll do something.